Welcome into another episode of the Voice of Camp Nathanael here on the campus of Camp Nathanael. This is Lee Sharp hanging out with you, and I have a plethora of people hanging out with me this morning. We have the Hodsons. You want to say hi?
Well, you got to be more specific. There's a few of us.
There's
around.
a few of us. We have Ben and Sarah.
Yes.
That's
hello.
right. Hello, everyone. Baby Benjamin.
Baby
Yeah.
Benjamin. For all of you
know, the youngest of the Hodson boys.
Some of you, yeah. A few people are having flashbacks right now.
Myself included.
And then we also have our director, Jeffrey McIntyre.
It's good to be here. Always.
So today's episode of the podcast, I brought all of these people together. It's happening. We are recording this during day camp. If you're unfamiliar with day camp, it's first through third graders. They come to camp. They get kind of from like 9 to 2. They're getting almost a taste of camp. They're not getting like the full camp experience, but if you ask any of them at the end of the day, they're excited. They're a good portion of them are ready, and they're like, why am I not staying all week? So there's a few people that are upset because they're not getting the full week experience. But we're recording this during day camp, and Ben and Sarah have been helping us with something new here at camp, the Alumni Association. And Jeff, you had some info that you wanted to throw out here at the beginning.
Well, I just wanted to give people a little bit of background on how this all came about, because I'm super excited about what the Alumni Association can bring, not only to people who are past campers, but also to the mission itself. And it was something I had thought about maybe two or 3 years ago, and I didn't know exactly how to get it off the ground running, and I'd prayed about it. And in God's providence, I met up with Ben and Sarah as they were actually dropping off their daughter for day camp. Some of you may not know this, but they live out of state now, so they make a pretty good pilgrimage just to drop their daughter and son this year off to day camp. And I had an opportunity to talk with them about this idea of an alumni association. And as I was talking to them about it, I don't know if they knew this, but as I was talking to them about it, they kind of lit up a little bit. And I think they made the statement of, we have been basically thinking about this same idea. And I knew right then when that happened that I was probably on a good track, that the thing that I had been thinking about was probably something of the Lord. And so I basically challenged them to take some leadership role in making this happen, and they took the ball. They ran with it, and then a couple months ago, we introduced our Alumni Association tab on our website. Mm-hmm. And so if there are people out there that are listening that have not yet been exposed to being part of that, I just want to say right now that you can go to the Camp Nathanael website. There is a tab at the top of the page that says Alum. I would encourage you to click on that, fill out the information, and become part of the Camp Nathanael Alumni Association. Now, a lot of people say, well, why would I do that? Or what is that all about? Well, I'm gonna step back, and I'm just going to allow Ben and Sarah to go ahead and explain what the vision of that association is and what we're trying to do through it. But I just want to say how grateful, how excited I am that it's these two people that are involved in it. They come with a level of passion. That's exactly what we need. And we'd really like to see this enhance not only the alumni experience of Camp Nathanael, but also the ministry as a whole. So with that said, I'm gonna sit back and allow them to talk a little bit about what they see as their vision for the Alumni Association. And if I was wrong about how I described our meeting, you can tell me that's not how it went, but that's how I felt it went.
Oh, that would be a great controversial moment of this podcast right now to say that's not how we felt at all, but it's 100% how we felt. And even as we were making the out-of-state drive-in last summer, we were talking about it, as the kids were snoozing in the back seat and talking about, what is our role to play now in the ministry of Camp Nathanael. And, we're out of state, right? And that's where God has us. And so our ability to just pop over and help in the dining room just isn't part of it. But what is the role for us to play? And that's where this idea of getting the community of former, summer staffers and campers and full-time staff alum, get us organized together so that we can support the ministry here at Camp Nathanael. And, you were lighting up, we were lighting up, and I think that was just a good sign of what work lied ahead. And it's been exciting to get it out of the gate over the last couple of months.
So I'll throw out here, when we talk about the Alumni Association, if you're familiar with camp, then you're aware how long camp has been around. But if you're new to camp and you're a little bit, camp started back in 1932, and you can do the math there. We're in 90 plus years at this point. We have campers that are coming to camp this summer that are the great grandchildren of some of the first campers who came here. So when we say we've got an alumni association, there's a long list of people that can be on that
absolutely
previous camper list. It's not just like, oh, we've been doing it for 5 years and we're just trying to throw something to get. No, this is a
there are thousands of people who have been impacted by this ministry who came for one summer or one weekend or helped out one weekend on a breakaway retreat staff. I mean, there's a ton of us. And so what is our role to play now? And some of those are on full-time staff. I mean, we were walking around and talking to them and seeing, former campers that we were summer staff and ministering to, and seeing them now on summer staff or full-time staff is pretty incredible. And that's the role they're playing right now in the season of life that they're in. But I think all of us who have been impacted by Camp Nathanael have a role to play. No matter how big or small you may feel like that is, there's a spot for you to plug in.
Well, I think, we tell our kids all the time that our family is here to serve and not be served. And that's what I see the Alumni Association being. Like, it's an opportunity for all of us who are part of this Camp Nathanael family that have been served by Camp Nathanael. It's our opportunity to turn around, and now we're the grown-ups. And it's our chance to serve this place and to serve the next generation of kids that are going to be impacted for eternity by what they come across here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about, when you come here as a camper, I came here as a first time in third grade.
I was going to say, what's the backstory now?
That's right. So, obviously I was a mission kid with my parents being on staff, but, the real impact as being a kind of participant came in third grade, my first summer. I was one of those. They had combined the third and fourth grade together in the local elementary schools. And so they opened up the option for third graders. And so I came, and we found out years later that was also Sarah's first summer as a fourth grader.
I did. I came as a fourth grade camper. I was the only kid from my school that came that summer for that week. And we put it together when we were moving last from South Carolina to Illinois. We found our old camp books, and I didn't have mine, but Ben had his. And I was like, oh, you were on Team Botswana? Is that something? Like, I was on Team Botswana.
Yeah, so, here we are years later, having been married, have kids. And
we were on the victory side.
And we were on the victory team, our first week of camp, on the same team. And unbeknownst to us, we'd get married years later. So.
Yeah, and then I didn't come back to camp until high school. Like, whenever I started working on summer camp, I came as a fourth grader as a camper, and then I didn't come back until I started working on staff.
Yeah. So, when you're coming through as a camper, you don't, everything just magically happens. Yeah. Like, you go into the dining room, and the food's just there. You go into the pool, and, the water's cold and clean. And, you don't think about those things, and you just participate and show up. And, as you grow up and you gain more perspective, you start to see just what it takes to make an organization and a ministry like this effective and impactful. And it takes a true army.
It does.
And it's so easy to look at just the full-time staff as playing that role in it, but that's just not enough to have the impact and the scope of facilities and ministry that goes on here. And so it is, yes, you've got a nucleus of the full-time staff, but it's for the rest of us to throw in along the way to really bring it all together.
Yeah, God's blessed all of us with different amounts of time that we can give, or different talents. Like, you do not want me on the backhoe doing something, but I can organize, or I can do a craft, or prepare a craft, or like we all have different amounts of time, different types of talents, and different resources. And we're really hoping the Alumni Association can, whether you're near to camp or far, that you can find your spot to plug in and to serve the place that served you so well.
Yeah, very well said.
So I got to ask some camp questions here.
Oh,
because you all, I did not know your roles. I knew that you grew up here as a mission kid. But I don't know if I realized that you came here as a camper. So I'm learning this. This is all this is news to me. This is all live, and I see this is why I interview people so that and sometimes I don't know. Sometimes you think when you're listening to the podcast, you're like, oh, he asked him those questions before. I didn't ask the questions before. I am learning this live. So you came here as a camper in 4th grade.
I was a 4th grade camper. I went all the way to the top of the hill to Hawaii. Jennifer was my counselor.
Okay.
I was the kid who needed a lot of help fixing their hair every morning, and Jennifer helped me buy a baseball cap from the store.
Okay.
And then taught me how to do a ponytail through the back of it. And I realized once I was on summer staff, I was like, oh, she needed a break from me, and that's okay.
So you got pulled in. So who pulled you back in as summer staff?
Benjamin.
Yeah, we
I was going to say, this doesn't just happen on accident. Like, it's not just like, oh, well, I came as a 4th grader, and then I just so happened so many years later to just feel an inspiration to jump back.
So we met in high school through Fellowship of Christian Athletes, through the club there at Knott Central.
That Dan Plitt was organizing.
That's right. Dan Plitt, long time, now retired, but full-time staff here, had organized and led. And so, we had made a connection through there as friends, and then friends became dating. And then next thing was, hey, I'm going to spend my summer at Camp Nathanael. It'd be great if you thought about it too. I think you'd love it. I think you'd be great. And how many summers did you end up working?
My last summer, it was the summer we got married. I didn't work that summer. Or did I? I came back when you went to...
I feel like you did one more summer after that.
I came back and did like one more summer once we were married.
But yeah, so, I won't add up those years to keep your age a secret.
Through high school, through college.
Yeah. I mean, probably close to 8, 9, maybe 10 years.
And then once we had a kid, I was counting down the days till they could come to camp so that I could come back to camp.
That's right.
But that doesn't have to be. That's why the Alumni Association's there now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to wait for your kiddo to come.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the mission kid.
Yeah, so then I had the mission kid experience.
Yes. Which is, so was it more, were you excited to come work?
It was.
I always wonder from the mission kids' perspective.
Fair.
I'm curious now.
I think
as
so.
I have mission kids. My kids are mission kids, so I wonder what's going through their heads.
It's it was quite the feeder program because me and my fellow MKs who are around the same age. Our first duties were raking the horseshoe pits and sweeping the mini golf and the shuffleboard courts every morning, and we got handsomely paid with a $2 store card for that work every week. And I really enjoyed those Snicker bars that I bought, all 4 of them every week. And it was that's where it started. But it really our parents modeled for us that, hey, we're all in this. Like, our family is committed to serving in this way, and here's how you can serve with where your talents and gifts are at the moment. And but we saw just how fun and exciting it was to be on summer staff and the impact that they were having. And it's like, oh yeah, like you mean to tell me I could like just stay in the cabin all summer? Like, that sounded amazing. And so yeah, you just kind of slide right into it. But every MK was kind of different, and some worked lots of summers and some didn't. And
yeah,
we all just kind of had our own story with that. But for me, I really looked forward to getting a chance to. My first camp counselor was Big Mike. I don't remember his last name. Really tall gentleman. I just remember really looking up to him and seeing the way he loved and cared for us for that week. And the chance to do that myself and have that kind of fun with a cabin, I really, just sought that out. So it wasn't a second thought for me at all. Yeah. And I distinctly remember the time I came to the realization that I had worked my last summer. And I didn't realize it until, I was studying engineering and I learned that I needed to start doing some internships. And I made the realization that the last summer I had worked was now going to be my last summer on summer staff. And it was a little moment of sadness. I got a end of a season there. But then it just became, okay, well, what's next for me to do to support Camp Nathanael and the ministries here? And that has just evolved over time and now into the Alumni Association. Yeah.
I was going to ask about counselors as well, because there's usually at least 1 or 2 counselors that stand out as like these are the people that. And so you had Big Mike and then
Jennifer.
Jennifer. So wherever Big Mike and Jennifer are now, you all there's your shout out. If you're listening, then let us know. Because again, the podcast goes out to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
I don't know. They may be listening at this.
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Knowing that, because sometimes we don't realize until, I mean, how many people have told Jennifer or Big Mike that the impact that they've had,
And I know exactly who they're talking about.
it's been years, and to realize that, like, hey, what you did when you were in high school and college, like, for some of our summer staff, I don't even know if they realize fully that, like, the impact that they're having on the kids is going to last for, it may outlast them.
I remember sharing with a church we were volunteering with the kids, and I was like, hey, like, they were trying to understand, like, is there a purpose? Is there a point in trying to do a small group kind of feel with kids? And I was like, there absolutely is. That's what Jennifer did for me. She showed me that, like, somebody that loves Jesus, that I can trust them and that I can share the happy and the sad of my day with them. And so, like, even if they're little, like, you can do a small group with them because Jennifer did it with me.
That's right. Just connecting that small community, and even just modeling how to turn the ordinary into the eternal. And you know, that moment you have at the rifle shack, or walking up the hilltop, or that moment of frustration or concern, and having someone there alongside of you, like a counselor or a team leader, who can just say, hey, like, let's get this in perspective. Like, what does this look like in the perspective of eternity, and bringing it down to your level, whether you're in grade school or middle school or high school. And that has a big impact. And, you know, so much
lasting impact
for sure. Yeah. I mean, so much of my kind of spiritual maturity happened in those small moments around Camp Nathanael, as much as anywhere else.
Even disappointments, losing recreation, or your basketball tournament.
That happened more than once.
All of those are teachable moments, and you take all of that and you put it in the confine of a place like Camp Nathanael, where you learn how to handle those kinds of things in what I would like to think is an appropriate way. It's a teachable moment.
Absolutely.
And it's awesome. It's great. And we want to keep that, right?
That's
the
right.
idea is that one of the things the Alumni Association is all about is there's a level of, hey, we want to preserve the ministry the way that it's been done, not because we're traditionalists per se.
Correct.
We don't do it just because that's the way we've always done it.
Right.
But I think there's a real value for the kids who've grown up here to say, you know what, we want camp to keep going in the way and in the same vein that it's been able to happen. Everything from how the kids get here to the opportunity of being a free camper and to be able to continue that, you know, that's an important thread in the woven fabric of Camp Nathanael, and we just want that. We want that to continue, and there's a way that the Alumni Association can be a part of that. And it's like Sarah said, it's through your talents. God's given us all a gift. We know that biblically. When you're saved, when you're part of his family, he's given you a spiritual gift. And we want to challenge all of our alumni to use that gift to help and maybe partner with us in ministry. And those gifts can look all different. So if you're sitting there going, man, I'm an alumni, but I don't know what to do, please start by filling out the information on the webpage, and then you might even get a phone call from Sarah.
You will absolutely will get a phone call from me.
And Sarah, you can maybe even talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what happens in the phone call
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, these secret phone calls.
Oh,
What is it?
no, no.
Secret phone calls.
Talk about the secret handshake. We talk about what else?
The Alumni Association is a very secret club, apparently. Well, we don't want it to be a
No, that's
secret.
not-
We
Why
don't
did
want it to
you-
be a secret.
No, we want everybody. So no, like if you sign up on the registry, not join the Facebook page, like sign up as part of the alumni registry. I think you go to the alum tab on the website.
CampNathanael.org/alumni.
Okay, so you go there and you fill out the little form, and then I'll give you a call, and we're just going to make sure we have all of your information correct, make sure, we didn't get anything wrong, because we want you to stay informed, whether it's through text messages or emails or Facebook or phone calls, whatevs. And so we'll make sure your information's right, and then we'll just talk about the vision of the of the Alumni Association, and ask if you have any friends or former staff or former campers that you're still connected with that haven't heard yet, and we need you to share the word. So it's a quick phone call.
That's right.
But,
and I'm super jealous because, just kind of time and schedule, Sarah's handling most of these phone calls, and she gets to hear all these amazing stories and connections back to the ministry here and the impact here. And right now, our goal right now is to get us all connected back together. We've come to camp. We were all here, at camp on this campus, and then we've scattered. We've scattered across the region, across the state, across the country, across the world. And
I would say God spread us everywhere.
Yeah. And so how do we get us connected back together and in tune with the needs here, and how the needs here at Camp Nathanael match up with what you can share and provide. And I would say that the leaders here, my parents among them, and Jeff and Lee here in the room, and the rest of the group over the years, they've always been very humble about speaking about the needs here, and have always been just trusted God and shown a lot of humility in that. I think the reality is, us as alumni and not being a part of the staff, I think we can bring a little bit of a finer point to that, and really say, hey, like, did you know that it costs a lot of money to have the insurance for this facility? No one thinks about that, but it does.
I never thought of that until
it's a chunk. It's a
you
very real.
You do when you pay it. I say this as the finance guy who has to write the check with the zeros on there. And
That's right.
It hurts a little bit. Even
It's a very real chunk of money that's required to run this ministry, and you don't think about that. You think about all the other things, and so I think it's important for us to be able to stay in tune with the staff here and to escalate those needs to the alumni and where they can plug in. Or there's a different one, maybe you're not financially in a spot to give and help with that insurance payment. But, yesterday, we were talking with some of the maintenance crew here, and what would be such a blessing to us is some volunteers to come mow.
Yeah.
Like just somebody who's around who would just come over and has always dreamt of riding a 0-turn radius lawnmower for hours on end.
You can have your opportunity here.
You can have your opportunity. You can put this podcast in. You could sit on the mower and listen to this podcast while you mow. And so it's needs all across the spectrum. But we want to help be the conduit to get that to this broader global community of alumni so that people can step up and do their part. That's our goal.
Because somebody stepped up and did it for you.
Absolutely.
And now it's your opportunity to impact eternity for a whole new group of kids.
And we've got people who do come and volunteer, and it's really cool to watch them come in and to see the connections. And some of them are alumni. Mm-hmm. Some of them are friends of alumni, and the alumni drug them in. And so I would even venture to say that if you are an alumni and you're like, well, I don't know if there's anybody else around me that knows about camp, you are the connection.
Yeah.
And there are so many different churches and youth groups that have come and volunteered and hung out and helped with different ministries that are happening here because one person at their church said, hey, I know about this camp down in the mountains.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of those things, big and small, they all work to building up the kingdom. And it reminds me of a story. I remember walking, I was on bathroom duty, and me and a couple of fellow MKs, we were walking from the girls' shower house down to the boys' shower house. And that was always the heaviest lift, cleaning the bathrooms, is those two, getting those two clean each day. And we're walking along, carrying our tubs of cleaning supplies, and we see Mr. Toner up ahead. And all he does is point at us and then point up. And, we continue walking towards each other, and then he stops us and just says, you guys are doing kingdom work right now. Doesn't feel like it. It's not glamorous. No one's going to stop and thank you. But the things you're doing right now are kingdom work. That has stuck with me for decades now. And that's what it is. So as the alumni you're doing kingdom work. You may not be on staff at a church. You may not be called to be full-time staff here at Camp Nathanael. But there's a role for you to play. And it's a tangible role, and it's something you can do from where you are, whether you're in the region or not. And so we're just really excited about getting all these people connected back together to this ministry, and just really excited to see what God does with all of it. Because I think, we've got some big dreams alongside Jeff and the rest of the staff here, what this could be. But I know God's dreaming even bigger for what it's going to do.
Yeah, and we want it to be a place where people can share their memories and their stories, because stories are powerful. And to be honest, I love listening to people's camp stories. But we also want it to be a place that just is a resource for camp, is something that can support and push camp forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's probably worth talking a little bit about what it is and what it isn't. We talked a lot about what the vision is for it to be, and to serve this ministry here and do our part, having been served in the past ourselves and taking advantage of the ministry here and the resources. And so there's definitely a piece of that. And we also envision a social connection piece of this in the future to bring people back together, to hopefully bring people back to the grounds here, to remain connected in that way. But we also don't want to shy away from saying, like, this is not a country club association. Like, this isn't you're going to pay dues and you're going to look for that, calendar, that magnet every year to put on your fridge. Like, this is not what that's about. And so, but we also know that those who have come through Camp Nathanael, they have seen that servant leadership modeled, and here's a chance to live it out in a new and special way. And so if that resonates with you, then, go to campnathanael.org/alumni and take 2 minutes to fill out that registration, and we'll get you connected with all of this.
Yeah. So I'll ask really quick. You all probably have tons of camp stories. And I did ask you all this yesterday, if you all had any fun camp stories. So if you've got a quick one, I was wanting to hear, because there's obviously camp changes as time goes on. So there's all kinds of different impact. Clearly you all were on the victory side.
Yes.
Which for some of our listeners, you may know what that means. That means we split. When campers come for their week of camp, they're split into large groups that then compete in very large games against each other throughout the week, earning points. They say Bible verses to earn points. I'm trying to think of other ways to earn points now. Is
keeping your area clean.
I was cleaning up the cabins.
Yep.
Also factors in. So all of these points get added together, and the team with the most points at the end gets to sing a song. The victory song there.
That's right. Parade around a little bit, get recognized, a lot of bragging rights for then until the next year. Yeah, that was always a lot of fun. I mean, one of my stories, I remember really taking it for the team. I am not a swimmer. I'm not a diver. I describe my swimming style as a survivalist, more so than an Olympian. And I remember one year to help push our team towards victory, and I can't remember if we were the victory team this year or not, but somebody short notice could not do the boys swimming relay. And my team leader looked at me, and I was like, if we just don't want to forfeit, like, throw me in, but like we're not going to win. And I remember standing there on the deck of the pool and seeing the first leg swimming towards me, this beautiful, Michael Phelps style stroke. And I'm just like, okay, I can't swim, but I can jump. And so my strategy was just to jump. If I can cover more of the distance in the air, it's less to have to swim across. And we got second place. So much better than the fourth place finish I was worried we were going to get. Nor did we win it. But it's you have these little moments of humility along the way and getting stretched. Mm-hmm. That's always been a story that stuck with me about field day and about being on the victory team.
Yeah.
What about you? You've got some good ones from being a counselor. I think about the surprise friend that was left for you.
I had a child in my cabin one summer. Sweetheart, if you're out there, I remember you. And she was very comfortable with wildlife. And so she thought it would be just the best to surprise me with a toad in my bed one night. That was that was exciting.
Just doing it more classic than a toad in a camp counselor bed.
Toad in the camp counselor's bed. I remember the kiddo that she was convinced. Like, she was on a bottom bunk, and she had me sit down on the bunk with her, and she was like, I know what you all do at night, Sarah. And I was like, yeah? And she goes, I know that all of you counselors go into the gym and drink juice boxes. I know it. And, and I'm like, I'm just as tired as you, sweetheart.
We're all exhausted.
We're all exhausted. We're not drinking juice boxes in the gym at night. Anyway.
That's right. One of my sweetest stories from you is during a power outage. I've heard you tell this story a couple of times.
There was a night one summer that the lights on the girls' hill leading up with all the cabins, the power went out for whatever reason. And I remember stopping with my girls and laying down out in the field and just looking up at the stars and just taking the chance to talk to them about, like, hey, the God who made these stars, he knows your name and he loves you and he knows you. And there's like, just look. Anyway, just a sweet memory. Remember laying out there with the girls.
That's really cool. That's a good note to end on. I don't know if I can come up with a better note to end on there. That's probably the best. Ben, Sarah, thank you for jumping in. Jeff, thanks for jumping in and being able to share about this association that we're putting together. I know that you all have got quite a few people in it so far. But again, the way to sign up is to go to campnathanael.org/alumni. Or if you just go to campnathanael.org, that'll get you to the website there. It's one of the tabs at the top there. Alumni, fill that info out. Sarah will give you a call.
Yep.
That's right.
You'll get to hear her again.
You'll know my voice. You'll hear it again.
And yeah, I think that'll wrap up another episode of The Voice of Camp Nathanael. I figured with the Alumni Association and ending, I've got my soundboard over here, and I have one sound from the bell being rung. So I thought we could end our episode with the camp bell because it feels like the most appropriate way to end the
great.
Alumni one. So Cameron, this will be our wrap up here, but